7. Santa Evita. Choreographers don't get Oscars. As I read Alan Parker's script for the movie Evita, the film played out in my head. The music, the scenes, the opportunities for dancing. Evita was one of my favorite musicals, having seen Patti LuPone on Broadway in the early 80s. The potential of a movie version had floated around Hollywood for years, like an elusive mythical unicorn. It seemed like it would never happen. I was first invited to choreograph the film when Glenn Caron was set to direct. Then, when Oliver Stone became attached to direct, he also contacted me. He had written a script with the transcendent Montreal artist, Louise Le Cavalier, dancing throughout the film as Eva Perón's alter ego. That version didn't happen. Now Alan Parker was directing. The stars aligned as Madonna pursued the title role and was soon attached to play the iconic Eva Perón. I met with Alan in Los Angeles and agreed to do the film. "Can I ask you how you see your role in the making of the movie?" he asked. "Well, Alan," I said, "I wear both hats, director and choreographer, but I know how to wear just one. I appreciate being hired by you as the director rather than have Madonna ask me. I'm excited to learn from you and translate your direction into movement. I'll make myself available anytime you need me, not just for the dance sequences. Madonna respects my eye when it comes to any movement she performs." Alan's reaction to my eagerness seemed lukewarm, something I had occasionally encountered with other directors upon first meeting. Directors can be control freaks, and unless they are extremely secure, they can view the choreographer as a competitor. It's partially because choreography can be an enigmatic art. I assured Alan that I would be his choreographer and work to bring his vision to the screen. We agreed we'd take things day by day once work commenced, and by the time we parted, he seemed open and generous. Alan and I began exchanging giddy letters about style, locations, and his overall vision for the project. I embarked on a regimen of regular tango lessons with my first choreography assistant, Miranda Garrison. I was thrilled to inundate myself with the physical and historical aspects of such a sensuous, powerful dance. As I realized the complexity of dancing the tango, one of my concerns was the short rehearsal period already scheduled. I expressed concern during my first meeting in London with Alan and his producer David Wimbury, who immediately seemed smarmy. "I've been taking tango classes, and the tango is the most intricate partner dance I've ever done," I told them. "It might be a good idea for any actor who dances in the movie to take some classes before they get to Buenos Aires. It'll save a lot of time in rehearsal and on set, especially with the rehearsal period being so short." Alan and David emphasized how they wanted the dancing to feel spontaneous, organic, not like a staged musical. They decided there was no need for much rehearsal because they wanted things to look natural. I was confused. Alan had directed Fame. He knew about dance and the need for rehearsal. "Alan," I pressed again, "all dancing requires hours of rehearsal to look natural. Partner dancing requires even more to look effortless, let alone natural. It's harder than dancing alone." "I don't want anything to look choreographed, Vincent," Alan replied. "I know I'm going to have to pull the reins in on you on this one." "Alan, I understand your vision. I do. I work from character all the time. But if you shoot a scene more than once, you'll need the actors to repeat the exact movement to match in the editing room." Finally, they acquiesced and opened up to the idea of additional rehearsal time. Madonna phoned me from New York, beyond excited. I told her I was setting up private tango classes for her with a respected tango couple from Buenos Aires, Daniel and Maria Baston. I knew she'd take the classes and be a pro by the time she arrived in Argentina. I spent New Year's Eve, 1996, at Madonna's exquisite home in the Hollywood Hills. It used to belong to the gangster Bugsy Siegel, and after Madonna to Joe Pytka. Incredible, isn't it? She said. It's like an Italian gigolo. Too expensive to keep and too gorgeous to get rid of. She had her hairstyle to resemble Eva Perón. She was beautiful, sweet, and kind. She radiated differently in these personal moments. I wanted to tell her how much more powerful she was when she was just being herself, but I knew she'd laugh coyly and tell me pleasantly to fuck off. A few days later, I headed to LAX to catch my flight to Buenos Aires, where I would make my temporary home at the Marriott Plaza Hotel. Miranda and I would arrive 3 weeks before the production team to cast and rehearse dancers. At the airline departure desk, I got my first inkling of the wild escapade to come. Lisa Moran, the associate producer, had already changed, canceled, and rebooked my flight several times in the past 3 days. And now we were told there were no tickets. I called Lisa in England. Incidentally, she was also Alan Parker's new girlfriend. Lisa Moran is very sorry, said a nameless assistant on the line, but you'll have to pay for both tickets and you'll get paid back later. I plunked down the money. It didn't take long for me to forget about the plane ticket ordeal. My room at the plaza was sinfully beautiful and in the heart of the old city. It had high ceilings with bas-relief and a balcony that overlooked a quiet street where an old man sang opera on his balcony every night after dinner. Buenos Aires had breathtaking deco buildings nuzzled beside glass and steel modern structures. My time there ahead of the others was inspiring as I walked among the people in the city, feeling the heartbeat of Buenos Aires, the tango. One evening, I came upon an older couple in a busy square about to perform for the gathering crowd. They explained they were going to dance the tango in the milonguero style, the authentic tango, not the flashy tourist-pleasing version. This couple, performing on a concrete sidewalk in front of a McDonald's, took my breath away. Their dancing exhibited a depth that went beyond the steps and revealed the heart of the culture. This would be the dance language of the film. No large gonchos or sentadas, no big leg extensions or upside-down flips. I understood how I wanted to translate Alan's vision and how to interweave the tango throughout the film. I asked one of the local dancers I had hired, Karina Lozana, to become my tango instructor and teach me that authentic style. "Close your rib cage," she would say. "Bend the knees. Point the feet but step, bold and heel. Be natural. Strengthen your lead. Stop dancing what you think it should be. Dance what you feel it should be." Casting began with sessions for locals of all ages. One day I saw 300 people. The next day 600. The next 1,000. They were from all walks of life, because in Buenos Aires, social dancing is woven into the fabric of life, and everyone has some exposure to it. I was enthralled. I had no idea if any of the principal cast besides hard-working Madonna could actually dance. I had not been part of the casting process, which was unusual for a musical film, and information was hard to come by. My nerves tingled with excitement at the thought of Madonna's arrival. I knew we'd have a rewarding collaboration, especially knowing how much Madonna wanted to be successful in this film. Receiving an Oscar had to be on her mind. I spoke with Madonna before she left for Buenos Aires. I've been rehearsing like mad with Danelle and Maria. I've learned the tango, milonga, and the waltz cruzada. She was coming a week early to have conversations with a group of older Argentines who knew Evita, and she also wanted to be with me so we could rehearse. I relayed to her Alan's desire to have the dancing be natural. With a sense of camaraderie in her voice, she said, "Okay, Vincent, but please let me do a few fancy steps." The next day in the rehearsal studio with Miranda, I was madly analyzing everything I had created for Madonna. Was it difficult and interesting enough? Would it work for Madonna? Or would it work, period? When Madonna arrived, It was as if Buenos Aires was turned inside out. The city was rabid for the material girl. Some complained. A video queen should not be playing Evita Perón. Meanwhile, below Madonna's window, hundreds of young girls dressed as classic 80s Madonna lookalikes were dancing, chanting, singing her songs, and screaming her name. Madonna was staying at the Hyatt Mansion with private security at every door. We first met in a marble-floored ballroom. "Oh, my God, Madonna," I said upon seeing her with tinted contact lenses. "How strange to look at you with brown eyes." "Wait until you see me with fake teeth," she said. "The problem with these lenses is that the whole world looks brown. It's so somber and dark. It's hard to keep my spirits up and not be depressed. And with all those screaming kids, I can't sleep." We danced the tango, and her form was beautiful. I had located a rehearsal studio for us outside the center of Buenos Aires. It was quiet, hidden, secure. Arriving before Madonna, I was working in the upstairs studio when I heard voices yelling from the street below. Madonna's black Benz was surrounded by teens on scooters and mopeds. Behind her were 24 more cars filled with screaming kids, honking their horns. 2 bodyguards stepped out of Madonna's car to escort her inside. By the time she got from the car to the studio door, the teens had become a mob, pummeling each other simply to touch her. The sleeve of her dress was ripped. She had a shoe yanked from her foot, and someone wrenched a small chunk of hair from her head. We held all future rehearsals at Madonna's hotel, since taking her anywhere would require the National Guard. During our rehearsals, Madonna shared footage of her dance lessons, and we discussed my approach to the dance scenes. She expressed the same concern that I had begun to hear from others. What was going on with Alan Parker, David Wimbury, and Lisa Moran on this project? There seemed to be no leadership. Only a handful of the creative team was getting input or creative feedback. There were few, if any, production meetings. I scheduled a rehearsal with the men Alan had cast to dance with Madonna. The first actor I met was cast as Senor Jabón and had 5 scenes in the film. In the longest scene, he had to dance with Madonna while she was singing. My first rehearsal with this actor was a disaster. The poor man hadn't read a script or heard the music. He couldn't dance and couldn't even keep time to the beat. He was never informed he'd have to dance or lip-sync in English. I spent 4 hours working with him. He left feeling like Baryshnikov. I left feeling like shit. I called Lisa in the hope to get through to Alan, but she thought it best that I not bother him with this little problem. "With all respect, Lisa," I said, "I need to talk to Alan about this. This is a creative problem, not a producer's problem. It needs to be a discussion between the director and choreographer." She hemmed and hawed. I pressed on. "If this is going to be a movie in which I'm not given access to the director when creative discussions are warranted, then I'm the wrong man for this gig. If this is a problem, you have a few weeks before principal photography begins to hire another choreographer." She told me I could find Alan at the hotel bar with Wimbury. Off I went. Alan listened, then replied, "I thought I was doing you a favor, Vincent, by casting a man who had Tango Forever, a touring review, on his resume. He never thought to ask the man what he had done on the show. Turned out he was the props master." I left that meeting tasked to find a new Senor Jabón. During auditions, I learned that most male tango dancers, called milongueros, do not follow choreography. The tango is totally interpretive in the steps and rhythm, like scat singing and jazz. I found one candidate who could follow choreography and had the right look. Sort of Al Pacino meets Peter Sellers meets Ratso Rizzo. He also had some acting experience. The following evening, I was summoned by Lisa to meet Alan in his hotel room. He lit a cigarette. "Well, you won," he said as he paced the floor. Alan continued with a long monologue. "I'll accept your new choice for Senor Habon, but I'm not at all happy that you couldn't make my original choice work. I pride myself on my casting, and if I choose someone for a role, it is for a specific reason, and that person should be in the film. You're overqualified for this job as choreographer, really, but I'll let you use your casting choice because you have so little to do on the movie. And actually, there's something more. I don't believe I trust you at all. I feel that you're dividing Madonna and me by creating two camps. As a director, you should know better. She's already difficult to deal with, and you're only making matters worse." I sat in silence before responding. "Alan, I haven't been invited to one production meeting, and as my director, you've given me no creative guidance at all. Madonna and I are only professional friends with extensive work history. We're driven, like-minded artists. Remember, I'm here because you asked me to do this film, not Madonna." I told him that if he didn't trust me, there was no reason for me to be there because trust is the foundation of collaboration. Silence. He rose with his paunchy belly and stooped shoulders and walked to my chair. "I am totally in the wrong, and I apologize," he said. "I really want you on my team. I realize that I have pushed you away and have been falsely accusing you." We shook hands. We hugged. He kissed me on the cheek. Rehearsals with Madonna continued with collaboration and success. I taught her the steps, then we would explore the scene, adding and discarding movement as Madonna owned the role. As I've mentioned before, Madonna can be brutally honest with no regard for tact or diplomacy. She challenges you at every turn. She listens when you speak and responds immediately. If you don't take her abruptness personally, your creative ego can match hers and you can collaborate. If you take it personally, game over. I was feeling good. Once, I went to kiss her in the dancing scene I'd created for Eva and Juan. Just an acting kiss. "You're funny," she giggled as she turned her head away. "What do you mean? And why can't you kiss me?" "I don't think of you like that," she said. "I don't think of you like that either, Madonna. We're acting." Alan and the director of photography, Darius Konji, finally visited and complimented us on everything we showed them. Madonna's dancing was perfection. We powwowed in an animated 2-hour discussion about the Perrons, the filming, and the style. It was everything we'd been longing to hear from Alan, and stimulating to finally hear his thoughts and see inside his head. Madonna and I hoped this was a new chapter, and these conversations would continue. The next day, my rehearsal with the dancers confirmed why I love doing what I do. I was about to rehearse the Requiem for Evita, with a multitude of tango dancers of various ages, shapes, and sizes. I described the scene as the moment of sorrow upon hearing about Eva's death. I wanted the tango to represent the sorrow of the nation. I played the movie soundtrack on the CD player. No one moved. An older couple said to me, "We can't dance the tango to this music. We dance only to tango music. Do you have any Gardel or Piazzolla?" It hadn't crossed my mind that there would be any objection to dancing to the movie music. That admittedly was far from tango music. I had to think on my feet. "As a lover of dance," I said, "when I watch you, the language of the tango is far more powerful than any music being played. When you move, your bodies express so many emotions, whether there is pure tango music or silence. The only thing that is important in this moment of the film is how you illustrate the language of sorrow between you and your partner. I know it is unusual for you to dance to music like this, but I promise you, by doing it, you will allow millions of people in the world to experience the power of the tango." There was still hesitation. "Let's just dance without music, in silence, listening to the beating of your hearts for rhythm." I realized many of the cast hadn't been born when Eva Perón died. She was only an idea, a myth. So I asked them all to dedicate their tango in this rehearsal, and in their eventual performance, to someone they loved who had died. A parent, a spouse, a family member, a friend. I asked them to put the face of that loved one in their head. If the image left their mind, they had to stop dancing and stay still while their partner waited, until the face came back into their mind. Then they could start dancing again. It was a dark, overcast day, and it began to rain. I quietly put on the rich orchestrations of Andrew Lloyd Webber, with the sung Latin eulogy created by Tim Rice. The people cast as husbands and wives, grandfathers and granddaughters, mothers and sons, danced the tango. Tears streamed down their cheeks as the rain ran down the studio windows. Some even sobbed. The dance became the requiem. In the scenes in the film, in the shadowed ballroom, or walking in a line before the horses, the dancing is honest and touching. After a month in Buenos Aires, I met Antonio Banderas. Beyond his devastatingly good looks, he had a warm sense of humor, an enlightened knowledge of theater, and just enough insecurity to make him vulnerable. A sexy combination. Madonna had called me that morning. "Can you come early? I want to practice the waltz for Eva and Shay before Antonio arrives. Then I'll go to wardrobe. When he comes, call me. I want you to dance it with me, not Miranda." When Antonio arrived, Madonna entered, her arms demurely wrapped around her shoulders. "Are you all right?" I asked. "No," she said, pouting. "I need a phone." And she left the room. When she returned, we danced the piece for him. Madonna apologized for all of the mistakes she had made, which amounted to exactly none. Antonio was apprehensive about dancing at first, which was the obvious result of the carefully executed master plan by Ms. M to keep her co-star appropriately insecure by illustrating how good she was. But in a few hours, Antonio learned several sections of the waltz for Eva and Shay. He brought a natural style to the piece, and they looked stunning together. A few days later, principal photography began, and rumor was that it went well. I remember thinking that day that our creative team was unbeatable, but if the film succeeded, it would be in spite of its producers. I left a note with Alan about hoping to attend dailies. I also congratulated him on now having 2 full days of shooting in the can. But good feelings weren't the fashion with our producing team. I began to realize that I wasn't going to further my directing craft learning from Alan. You can't learn from someone who refuses to share anything. I received a phone call from David Wimbury about my request to see the dailies. "Alan is very superstitious," he began. "Every day on his way to the set, Alan must sit between his director of photography and his camera operator. And Alan is only allowing those people on the set who are actually working at the time. And the only people admitted to the dailies will be those people who have created the particular scene shown that evening. Do you understand? Could you please not hold it as a judgment upon Alan? Isn't this a great gig for you, where you get to hang out in Buenos Aires and only have to come to the set those very few times when you're needed?" I regarded this as bad producer speak. I had no idea why I was being shut out. This was a musical with dancing. I hadn't anticipated these roadblocks, but decided to wait before airing my thoughts. The lack of direction from Alan kept me in an isolated bubble. On one hand, it afforded me the freedom to experiment, like the day with Madonna and Antonio when we dissected the waltz for Eva and Shay. We started working through the lyrics as spoken words, just walking around the space. Then I asked them to sing the lyrics as they walked through the room, and to combine the singing with the choreography. "Eva, don't just yell at Shay," I said. "Get him to understand your situation. Don't defend yourself. Shay, listen to her. Don't be so quick to accuse. If you don't listen, you lose. Debate using your heart and your head. You both want to change the world for the better. You both care about the people. Because you despise and admire each other, there is conflict, danger, and risk here. Let's do it again." It became more than choreography. The three of us were dissecting every scene that involved dance by shaping story, character, and intent. When Madonna, Antonio, and I reached the conclusion of the waltz, Alan's script read that Shay would disappear. Then all of Ava's past lovers would appear and partner her, the idea being that Ava succeeded only because of sexual exchanges. After several rehearsals, the three of us agreed it was more powerful when Shay completed the dance with Ava, focusing on their conflict that drives the story. We brought the new idea to Alan. "Oh," said Alan, "there goes Vince again, wanting more choreography." Antonio jumped to my defense. "This was not just Vince's idea," he said. "He created the ending first, like in your script. But in rehearsals we worked on this version of the ending because it flowed better dramatically." We showed him. Alan clutched my arm in excitement as they performed the scene, dancing and singing a sensual ideological duel. When it was over, Alan decided to film Shay and Ava dancing to the end. But since he might intercut scenes of her dancing with the various men of her past, he would film those moments as well. All in all, it was a good day. Jonathan Pryce arrived to play the role of Juan Perón. He was so nervous. I could see his hand quiver on Madonna's back when they first danced a simple rumba. I worked with him and Madonna was a champ, bringing him down to earth so he could be the Juan Perón of power and prestige. I was surprised at how sexy Jonathan was, even next to the steamy Antonio. Jonathan had a confident but quiet presence, virile and masculine. When he finally kissed Madonna in rehearsal, she practically melted. I suspect he took her by surprise, too. I finally got to work on set when we filmed Good Night and Thank You in the Odeon Bar. Madonna was breathtaking. The combination of hair, wardrobe, makeup, lighting, sets, and of course Alan's direction was magical. Watching Madonna sing, I felt I was privy to the thoughts inside her head. The expertise she had gained in making music videos made her completely comfortable in front of the camera. Later that day, we filmed one of the Requiem sequences in a beautiful old white-plastered parlor with light streaming through the windows. The dancers were emotional, just as I had directed them to be in rehearsal. Some had tears streaming down their faces as they danced the tango, in and out of the mottled light. Alan was like a jacked-up teenager, running around and getting all of his shots, oblivious to the overtime spent on the scene. At one point, he was racing along with a crab dolly that traveled in a circle around a couple in their 80s. At the conclusion of the day, the man who had been dancing grabbed Alan's hand. "Muchas gracias por todo, Señor Alan," he said through his tears. Alan broke down and placed the sobbing man's head against his chest. The room was held in suspended animation for a few moments. When we wrapped, applause combined with enthusiastic handshakes and kisses on the cheek. And just like that, Alan was my new best friend. "Hey," he said, "do you mind giving up a rest day? I'd like you to come to the polo grounds tomorrow. There might be something you could help me with, if you don't mind." "Of course I'll be there. Thanks." I was jubilant to receive his invitation. I was on the 6 a.m. call sheet, but once I arrived at the polo grounds, it was as if I was invisible. While everyone else ran around with purposeful urgency, I spent my time trying not to be in the way. Alan came over. "So sorry for having you come all the way down here in this heat for nothing," he said. "I don't really have much for you to do, but if you don't mind staying, I might be able to use you. You can always go back to the hotel whenever you feel like it, though." "No job is too small," I smiled. "I could have helped you with that shot earlier, organizing the extras during the polo match." "Okay," he nodded. "Great." He walked away. I spent the next 3 hours moving from the scorching sun to the shade, pretending to appear involved. I found a ride back to the hotel at noon. With time on my hands, I took as much advantage of being in Buenos Aires as I could. I enrolled in a private Spanish class, visited the places Eva lived, and went to La Recoleta Cemetery where she is buried. I went to Milongas to experience dancing the authentic tango. I invited Madonna to a local milonga. It had a tiny dance floor and was packed to capacity. Madonna received applause as she entered. I became the ear to the queen, since I now spoke un poquito de español, and would manage the various requests that came to our table. Could I get an autograph? Would she put a kiss on this champagne bottle? Could I have my picture taken with her? Would she be godmother to my child? Could she put us on a lifetime pension plan? Madonna was as captivating and as charming as Eva Perón. A few days later, I was admitted to dailies of Madonna and Senor Jabón dancing together, followed by a scene from the Requiem. The entire crew applauded after the dance footage, and Alan yelled to me from across the room, "They don't give Oscars for choreography." Ouch. Another producer, Robert Stigwood, jumped to his feet in the rear of the room and yelled, "Bravo!" The entire crew congratulated me. Prior to shooting part of the waltz in the slaughterhouse, I went into Madonna's trailer, where Martin Samuel was beginning to do Madonna's hair. I asked them what style she intended to wear. "I think I'll wear it down, soft," she replied. "I don't think so, Missy. I created this dance for you to carry the strength of Eva Perón. You need to pull it back. Don't go telling me how to wear my hair. Besides, you're the one who told me to approach this role with more vulnerability, remember?" "Yes, but I meant the acting approach." "Well, I'll wear it how I want." "Well, let me tell you, if you come out of this trailer with your hair down, I'm turning you around and marching you right back inside for Martin to fix it." "Oh, yeah? As if you really could." I left smiling. So was she. Antonia was charming on set, but I didn't find it amusing when, after hours of rehearsal and exploration on the waltz for Eva and Shay, he told Alan, "I don't feel organic while moving in waltz time. It feels more natural to me if I'm standing still." In many ways, Antonia was polar opposite to Madonna. She was disciplined and methodical about practice, and getting it perfect every time, whereas he would improvise, constantly looking for a new way to dance on the next take. I kept trying to bring him back to what we had discovered in rehearsal, because his first instincts with physical expression were always the best. Alan allowed him to try his own thing on the last take. All Antonio did was walk in a circle around Madonna. Boring. I overheard Madonna tell Antonio that she liked what he did. Alan found me the next day in the hotel lobby. "I just want to know if you're all right," he said. "I didn't know if you were mad when you left." "I was frustrated," I said, "but not with you, Alan." "Well," Alan said, "I'm pissed that I let Banderas look at the fucking monitor. Never again. I don't want you to be upset. Your work is perfect for this film." The next day, Alan complimented me again as we watched more dailies of the Requiem footage. The dancers in torn clothing and broken shoes danced the tango among the horse stables as they expressed their grief. Alan was being congratulated on the footage when he turned to the whole room. "These tango scenes are the two most powerful pieces of film I've ever shot," he announced, "but I can't take the credit. Vince directed the dancers. He told them not to move until they had put a picture in their heads of someone who had died." Madonna came over and whispered in my ear. "I want to apologize for siding with Banderas the other night," she said. "I thought it would make things easier. I love everything you're creating for this film." Typical Madonna, fixing something after the fact. But I refused to get drawn into any mini-dramas, because what I knew, and what Alan, Moran, and Wimbury didn't want to admit, was that this film was about Madonna's career. Our filmmaking team was plopped down in Argentina to move Madonna forward in the way she wanted to move forward. This was an Alan Parker film, but more importantly, it was a Madonna movie. This frustrated and infuriated Alan, as he was accustomed to being the star behind his movies. Here he was just the director. The Argentine government wouldn't allow Alan to film Evita's famous balcony scene at the actual Casa Rosada, the Argentine presidential palace. Alan and his production team had pleaded his case with President Carlos Menem. Menem had only one request. He would consider allowing the film to be shot on location if Madonna had dinner with him. Madonna told me, "Now they're whoring me out to get the Casa Rosada. But fuck it, I'll do it. I'm going to be on that balcony if it kills me. Or Alan." Madonna went to dinner, and permission was granted. One night, I took Madonna, her secretary, and our cinematographer, Darius, to Philo's, a trendy pizza bar. It was supposed to be a secret outing. We had a great meal with laughs and good food. Madonna was chatty. "They're kicking me out of my room at the Hyatt," she said. "Too dangerous. They want me to wear a bulletproof vest on the balcony of the Casa Rosada. But know what? It was a good day today. The pizza was great, and now I'm out of here like last year." When we rose to leave, I noticed there were security guards at many of the tables. They were ex-CIA agents hired to protect Madonna. As we walked toward the exit, everyone inside began to applaud. Suddenly, one man jumped up and rushed for her. One of the security guards grabbed him and pinned him against the wall. Another guard called for our van to back up to the front entrance of the cafe. As we ran for the open doors, the angry man freed himself from the guard and threw a chair at Madonna. I blocked it from hitting her. It was like a scene out of Dawn of the Dead, as screaming fans tried to wedge themselves between the top of the van and the cafe door frame. We were pushed inside the van. The back doors were slammed securely shut, and we tore off through the deafening crowd. I'm not sure if Madonna wore that bulletproof vest or not when she sang "Don't Cry for Me, Argentina." I didn't see the filming on the balcony of the Casa Rosada, with the throng of 2,500 extras below. I had asked if I could be there, as it was going to be an historic moment for the film and for Madonna. My request was ignored. I asked Madonna how it went. "Good." "Good? You've just fulfilled a lifelong dream." "You're right." She laughed happily. "It was fucking incredible." We were wrapping up filming in Argentina, and plans were being made for the next legs of production in Budapest and London. Miranda Garrison, my assistant, had decided to leave the film, so I asked to bring Karina, my Argentine tango instructor, to London as my new assistant. Lisa Moran let Karina's visa application fall through the cracks, so I invited my friend Kim Blank to assist me through the rest of the filming. We had a few rehearsals with Madonna in New York City, shaping the song Buenos Aires, before she headed to cold, rainy Budapest, and Kim and I to London to cast the rest of the dancers for the Buenos Aires scene. Arriving at the London hotel, I received an urgent note to call Madonna in Hungary. "Vince," she said, "I'm 3 months pregnant. I was pregnant when I saw you in New York. I wanted to tell you, but I was so nervous about it. I don't think the timing is perfect. My belly is beginning to get big and my tits are huge." I told Alan, and he kept denying it. I finally told him that we had to tell Wimbury and you. We've pushed up the ballroom scene with Shay to this weekend, because I don't know how much longer I can wear that slinky white gown. I was making lists in my head of what needed to change if we had to hide a pregnant Madonna belly. We would be matching footage that we shot in Buenos Aires, so I had to be thorough. For her safety, I immediately wanted to amend some of the choreography. "Don't change anything," she pressed me. "I'm fine. I run on the treadmill every day." "What parts would you adjust?" "The drop and the lift." "No," she said. "It's perfect. Please don't change anything because of me." "Well," I said, "it's a real blessing. You're playing the role you dreamed of, And now you're having the baby you always wanted. You should feel very happy, honey. Enjoy it. I'll see you in a few days in Budapest. I love you." "I love you too," she said, as I hung up the phone. She had kept the secret, but now that she was telling people, everyone was coming forward to support her in finishing the movie. It was snowing when I flew from London to Budapest. Cold, bleak, wet snow. As was typical on this film, no one gave me a call sheet or a schedule. I awakened a production assistant at 8:00 a.m. to discover I was to be on set at 11:30 a.m. It was not a happy set. The director sets the tone of the film, and Alan's insecurities were discombobulating almost everybody. He referred to the film as his film, never our film. Antonio was forbidden from attending dailies, which made the actor livid. "Superstitious, my ass," he said to Madonna and me. "Alan is just a fucking control freak. I spoke with my lawyer, and from now on it goes into my contract in big print that I get to see dailies." Madonna and I were equally frustrated, but we focused on how to finish filming without resorting to a body double for her last dance sequences. "Vincent," she finally said, "maybe you better think about getting one. Can Kim do it?" "No, Kim can't do it. You'll be fine. We'll just take it slow." I put my attention toward making Madonna feel comfortable. The pregnancy took a toll on her stamina, but she still worked 12-hour days, dancing in heels on marble floors. I think seeing the end of the film in sight kept her going. It had been whispered among all of us since leaving Buenos Aires that her performance was being praised as Oscar-worthy. It had to be on her mind. Having completed our work in Budapest, Kim and I headed back to London to cast and choreograph the bar scene for the song Buenos Aires. For the choreography, I decided not to clean Madonna's movements to perfection. I wanted her to be the young Eva Duarte, innocent and naive. I went into her dressing room before we began the shoot. "Please don't work so hard," I said. "I know you, and you'll go till you drop. Just tell me when you need a break and we'll make it happen." "I'll be fine." She squeezed my hand. When action was called, it was as if we were in La Boca, Buenos Aires, 1939. Madonna entered the bar as an awestruck country bumpkin, Eva Duarte, and emerged ready to conquer the world. Alan pranced in the wake of the camera dolly. We shot all day, and upon leaving, Madonna, though exhausted, thanked everyone. Alan turned to me. "Do you believe it? She said thank you." "She always thanks us, Alan." "Well," he replied, "that's the first time she's done it on set with the rest of us." I let it go. Just then, a huge cake with blazing candles was wheeled onto the set. It was my birthday, and Madonna had done it again. She led everyone in singing Happy Birthday and gave me 2 tickets to see Matthew Bourne's Swan Lake. What a day. I had one more day of shooting, a sexy bedroom scene between Eva and Juan Perón. Alan was charming and even generous. He gave me the floor as I finessed the romantic rumba bolero for Madonna and Jonathan Pryce. My work on Evita concluded on May 19th, 1996. Kim and I arrived at LAX, happy to be home. For 45 minutes, I looked for the driver with the placard that had my name, but we couldn't find him. We called London. "Lisa Moran is very sorry," said another nameless assistant on the line. "She's been very busy and forgot to get you a car. You'll have to get one yourself, and please send us the invoice." The movie was released on Christmas Day in 1996 and made a killing at the box office, earning over $151 million worldwide. Madonna won the Golden Globe Award for Best Actress, and Evita won the Golden Globe for Best Picture, Comedy or Musical. The film received 5 Oscar nods. cinematography, art direction, sound, film editing, and original song. Madonna's solo You Must Love Me, which won. Madonna didn't win an Oscar for Best Actress. She wasn't even nominated. It felt unfair. She had created a superlative Eva. No matter. Madonna will always be linked with the film Evita, and in some way with Eva Peron. Choreographers are the only creative people on any movie set who don't have a category to receive an Oscar. Sadly, every choreographer's agent has to struggle with the producers to even get credit on the crawl at the end of the film. Main title credit is almost non-existent for a choreographer, even on a movie musical. In August, 3 months after returning to Los Angeles, my agent Julie received a note from producer David Wimbury. Dear Julie, Ray, Vincent, Patterson credit. Please confirm with Vince. As we have now completed filming, should his contribution still merit main title credit on the film? Sincerely, David Wimbury. My agent replied professionally. Dear David, as per our contract, yes. Kind regards, Julie MacDonald. Though Julie and I had laughingly discussed sending this reply. Dear David, are you fucking mad? Kind regards, Julie MacDonald. Neither the producers nor Alan negated my positive experience on Evita. I wish Alan had chosen to play more than a minor role in my experience, but he didn't. It was the sensuality of Buenos Aires, with the music on the streets and in the milongas, the warmth and beauty of the people, and the tango that got into my blood and rewarded me with a cherished life chapter. And the story of Eva Duarte Perón, a fascinating political pop star who constantly caused us to ask the question, good or bad, saint or sinner? And Madonna. These are the foundations of my memories. After finishing my final rehearsal on set with Madonna, I went to say goodbye. A grand library with dark wooden walls had been converted into her dressing room. Through a carved archway that framed her like a marble sculpture sat Madonna. She was perched on a tall stool behind a makeup mirror in her white satin gown, illuminated with a ghostly light from the frosted white bulbs. Madonna's blonde hair was pulled back in a magnificent nest of curls, encircled by an intricate braid. The bodice of her gown shimmered in the eerie light, and she appeared to radiate with an internal glow. The surroundings demanded whispered tones. "Hi, honey," I said. "I've just come to say goodbye." "I can see," she said. "When do you leave?" "Tomorrow morning, early. Thanks for everything, Madonna." "Are you going back to L.A.? "Yeah. Sleep in my own bed." Then she looked me in the eyes. "Thank you, Vince, for all of your help. You were wonderful." I kissed her on the cheek and left her with a goodbye note. Dear Madonna, sister, daughter, lover, friend, partner in crime, fingers sometimes on the same trigger. What a pleasure to have completed this mad circle with you. Our collaboration has been an utter joy. It is not often I find a spirit to rival, challenge, and complement my own. I always seem to meet my match with you. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of your worlds, the personal, the professional, the historical. Congratulations on your stunning work throughout. Love, Vincent. P.S. Remember, choreographers don't get Oscars.